to listen to your body and so that you can get the help that you need. Because if sorry, the people factor, is she going to be able to edit that out too, or do you want?
I I don't think so, but like what are we going to do? Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Friendlies. I'm Sam Mewis, and today my guest is a young defender who matches grit and vision with what seems like a real sense of joy on the field. She's become an inspiration to so many on and off the field. Please welcome Angel City FC's own SAVY King. SAVY, welcome to the women's game.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Verizon, an official sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Verizon is offering an incredible opportunity to our listeners and existing Verizon customers. From now through October 13th, visit the Verizon My Access app for your chance to score the hottest ticket of the year. You heard that right. This FIFA World Cup 2026, no one gets you closer than Verizon. All right, everybody, here is SAVY King. I'm so excited to chat with you. First, congratulations on just graduating from cardiac rehab, which you began after your heart emergency that you had earlier this year. I'm sure the program has been like your main focus and priority lately, but I wanted to ask if you got up to anything else fun this summer.
Yeah, actually, I was stuck at home for a while, so I had to, improvise a little bit and find activities to do at home. But my brother's home, so that's been a really good plus. He's been here all summer. But I did a lot of
Nice.
puzzles, got into Legos. Once I was able to drive and like get out of the house, it was more like just hanging out with people, just spending time with a lot of the people that were my biggest support system here in LA. So that's probably been the biggest thing. And then obviously going to recovery and rehab. But those were my biggest things. Puzzles were a big one for me.
Wow, I'm like not really into puzzles, but I've actually heard you talk about them now a few times, so like I may have to give them a go. I know that you're in LA. That's where you grew up. That's where all your family is. It's you, your brother, your two moms, both of whom come from really sporty backgrounds themselves. Can you talk to me a little bit about your moms and how sports has really brought your family together?
One of my moms, her name's Kim, and she was a basketball player. And then my other mom was a runner and a cyclist. And so she was a crazy athlete. She went pro when she was 18, and she like traveled around the world doing triathlons, biathlons, all of that. So because of that, my brother and I grew up running a lot. So my brother's a runner. Right now he goes to UC Santa Barbara. Well, he's doing pre-med and he's an EMT actually.
Oh my gosh.
And so we would run all the time. I pretty much played every sport just because, one of my moms was basketball, one of them was running. So we're trying to figure out what kind of was the best fit for me. And no one in my family has ever played soccer. So that was like the last one that I tried just because it wasn't like big in my family. So it was like I went through every other sport and then eventually landed on soccer and then doing this stuff.
Wow. Well, it's funny because I knew that your mom was a runner and I heard that she actually also used to coach you and you used to like train running together. My
Yes.
dad was a soccer player and so he coached my sister and I growing up, and the coach parent relationship can definitely be like interesting and complicated, but I do feel like my dad somehow always seemed to know when to be a dad and when to be a coach. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, with your mom coaching you growing up and running, what was that kind of parent coach relationship like for you guys?
When you're younger and when you're trying to listen and like to your mom, and like then she's trying to tell me like what to do, and then I went through the stage of like, no, like I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But eventually I stopped fighting that. She knew what she was doing, she knew what she was talking about, and eventually I was like, yeah, she's right, I guess she's right. And then I just kind of leaned into that, and from there it was just like I really feel like I transformed just in terms of all athleticism. And because she knew what she was talking about, but I just,
Yeah,
her being my mom, I was like,
I know.
yeah, it was
Sometimes you just like need to hear the advice from literally anybody else and it will get through. But you're so right to say as soon as you are like open to it, our parents really do know what they're talking about
know
when it comes to
everything.
some stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you wind up with soccer, and I actually wanted to bring up how you and I first met. If you're listening to this on audio, the YouTube version is going to be showing a very cute picture of me and SAVY from when I was playing in college at UCLA and you were just a young kid coming to cheer for the Bruins in LA. Do you remember going to those games?
I do. I remember a little bit about it. I think I was around probably like 9 or 10, maybe, during that time. But we used to go to like pretty much every single like UCLA home game. We knew the goalkeeper at the time, Alini. Was she there when you were?
Yeah. Yeah, Alini was our goalkeeper coach.
Yeah, so we were really close with her, and so she would always like help us with like the tickets and stuff. And so we literally went to like every single game, and I was like a diehard UCLA fan. I loved UCLA. We loved going to all the games, and like we have pictures. Like my brother and I even like we were ball girl. I was a ball girl a couple times, I think. And so it was just a crazy, like funny situation. Like even I think my parents like sometimes would be sitting next to like Caprice's parents. Like
Caprice Didasco, who still plays for BFC.
it was just like it's like a crazy like full circle moment. But yeah, I loved UCLA games. I actually went to one last week or so. So I still try to go when I can. But yeah,
Oh,
I
wow.
definitely remember that
It's
time, and I remember taking that picture.
oh my gosh, that is so sweet. It's really cool to know that, when I was in college, I wasn't necessarily aware that young girls were like looking up to us and coming to our
Yeah,
games. And I think now with the NWSL so popular and so many young girls going to those games, I think that's probably like such another full circle moment of you having access to watching high level women's soccer and that really influencing you. And now you're doing that for young girls.
yeah,
Which I just like love to hear when I saw that picture of us. I think you showed me at the skills challenge last year, and I was like, oh my gosh,
it's so crazy.
it's so cute.
It blows my mind a lot of the times too, because it's like stuff like that will happen, and it's like we're at the point in the league where there's a lot of younger players, and I think that that gives us like as a younger player like the opportunity to potentially like meet and or play with like people that we've looked up to our entire life. And so it's just like it blows my mind all the time because I'm like even in my locker room at Angel City I'm like whoa, like sitting next to Sydney LaRue, who I've looked up to for a really long time, cross from Chris and Press. It's just so crazy that like you don't think that your paths are gonna cross just because like I was like such a young girl at the UCLA games too, like even with you. Like the NWSL, there's a lot of younger players now, so it gives us the opportunity to potentially play with players that we've watched forever. So it's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love hearing that. I know as you got a little bit older, you were in high school, and I know that you started training, getting called in with the youth US women's national teams. I know you went to the under 17 Women's World Cup in India. I went to some youth World Cups as well. My first was a U17 World Cup in New Zealand. And I just remember I was so young. The travel was so far. It was such a crazy experience to have as like a young teenager. What was your first Women's World Cup like?
It was definitely a crazy experience for sure. I think our free camp was in Dubai, so it was actually so cool. Like it was just like the best experience. I just remember having so much fun. Like we were all like young and just having the best time. I feel like my best memories honestly like a part of the youth national teams have just been like playing in the World Cups, spending weeks at a time just in different countries, experiencing different parts of the world. Like you're just exposed to like different cultures as well too. I loved it. I mean, being in India was definitely an experience. I probably wouldn't have been in India otherwise. So, I mean, it was really cool to experience that as well. It's funny because I was roommates with Giselle. Like Giselle and I have been roommates a couple times on these trips, and so like now we're teammates again. Like we're teammates again. It's just awesome to just have those experiences and so many like amazing memories from those trips.
That's amazing. And I love hearing you bring up Giselle Thompson, your fellow Angel City teammate. What's your relationship like with Giselle now, and how has it grown over the years of you guys playing together?
I've known Giselle for a long time. I think when I was we ran for the same track team when we were doing youth track because my brother, yeah,
Really?
yeah. So it goes back pretty far. And we played for the same club team growing up, for a little bit. And then like Giselle and I have been a part of like the same national team camps for like since like U15 or so. So it goes back pretty far. But yeah, no, I love being on the same team as Giselle and not just seeing her at like the camps and stuff. But like she's great. We always have a good time. She was my roommate this year actually for like our away trips and stuff.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, she's the best. I love G. But yeah, our relationship is so good, and I'm just so happy to be back home with her. So being able to play together again is always awesome.
I know. My friendships that I played professional with are like still the best
Yeah.
friendships that I have. It's such a pivotal time in your life, in your career, and you're kind of through those days of we're all going to travel and go to different colleges, and you and Giselle will ultimately continue to cross paths for a long time. And I'm so glad you have each other to lean on, because I feel like you both entered the league at a really interesting and potentially complicated time where, the college situation and that line between student athletes and professional athletes got kind of blurry. Before you even graduated high school, you became a Nike athlete. That was just 1 year after starting college at UNC. You left school to enter the draft. You were the second overall pick selected for Bay FC. Now it's all continues to get complicated. There is no draft, but it did seem like a big transition going from college into the pros at such a young age. You're still a teenager. And for someone who's been a star probably on every single team you've ever been on, I imagine your year at Bay FC was the first time that you weren't starting every single game. Bay was an expansion team, so there was a lot in flux. You were also being played a little bit out of position, but still, I think it was like a difficult first year. Can you talk to me a little bit about that time and how you were feeling as your rookie season at Bay went on?
It was definitely a tough transition for sure. Being I was 18 and moving to a place that I hadn't necessarily been a lot, so moving there on my own, away from my family, like really for the first time, was definitely a challenge. And I was the youngest on the team, and I didn't know anyone, so it was definitely just took a lot of time to kind of get used to. I think my teammates and the staff was very great with me of like making me feel comfortable, which was great. I mean, I was playing and I was starting for the most of the first part of the season. Then I left for the U20 World Cup, and then after that, it kind of just got a little bit messy with the whole situation. I won't get into all the details of that, but it was hard to kind of go like go play for the U20 national team, which is like such an exciting time for me to be able to like do that and travel and go there, but then to come back and then to face with what I was faced with was just like not playing, was
Yeah.
tough for sure. But I feel like I just grew a lot, in terms of like maturity and independence for sure was the biggest thing that I took from it, and just learning how to handle things that I don't necessarily agree with and stuff that like may not be going my way. It was definitely an interesting year, but I feel like I definitely take a lot from it. I feel like there's a lot of positives that can be taken from it that I now take into my new environment in Angel City. Came out better on the other side, and now I'm in a place that I love. So it all worked out the way it's supposed to.
I mean, even just hearing you say you moved to a place you hadn't really been, you were 18 years old, you're living on your own away from your family, that it just sounds like so much responsibility for a young person. And I know that like going away to college is kind of doing that, but college is really set up for it's almost like this halfway to adulthood. You have so much structure in place, so many resources available. You're like living on your own, but you're in a dorm and like you have
Yeah.
your coach to look out for you and you have all these systems to look out for you. And I think that now, especially just considering that we don't have the draft,
Mhm.
which is so obviously I'm all for the what the CBA says now and what this gives players in terms of autonomy over their own careers. I do feel like it might give young players even less of a roadmap for knowing how and when to make that jump from college to the pros. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for players who are doing great in college and wondering if it's time for them to join the league.
Yeah, I mean, I went through the same thing of trying to figure that out. And I think that from what I went through and my thought process was just like, I was honestly just trying to focus on myself and not like look at what anybody else was doing, how young they were, whatever was going on with anybody else. I was just kind of trying to focus on myself. My advice would be like through my thought process was I was just like, okay, I know what I want to accomplish in my life. I know what I want, like what my goals are. I had a good year my freshman year, and I felt like I was ready to go, but I also struggled with like the hesitation of making that jump. But I think that now that there's so many more younger players, like if you're in that position, I think the best thing that you could do is just talk to someone that's in the league, or like at least so you feel more comfortable with it. Like I love like talking to people that have any questions, because I feel like personally I didn't have that, and it was kind of just like a blind like, all right, I'm just going to do it because I feel like I'm ready. I know that what I want to accomplish and what I want to do with my career. And I felt like doing that was the best choice for me. And I just kind of was like, all right, let's do it and see what happens. It's just so easy to look at what everybody else is doing, but you just kind of got to focus on yourself, and you know when you're ready. I feel like you kind of have that feeling like in yourself, but I think talking about it is kind of the best way to go about it, just so that you feel the most comfortable with your decision, because it is a big transition, especially coming out of college. And it can be scary, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of great things to say or great advice to give. So I feel like just talking to people is the best way to go about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes so much sense. You mentioned the U20 World Cup that you went to in the middle of that rookie season. And I imagine also that transition of like, and I know about this and you will continue to know about this as in the future, continue making that transition from club to country back and forth. For the youngest player on the team at Bay to then go off to the U20 World Cup and be one of the leaders, one of the players playing professionally on that roster. You helped lead that team to third place, which was one of the best results that the U20 age group has gotten in a long time. What was that experience like for you to go from being the youngest player on your team to then entering an environment where maybe you could feel really confident and really sure of yourself as one of the leaders?
Being young, like I've always believed that you could always be a leader no matter how old you are. So I've always kind of really taken pride in that, especially like going to the U20 World Cup and having experience with the U17s. Like I wanted to go in and show my leadership, just because, I may not be the loudest person ever, but I wanted to show it through like my experience and how I carried myself, I guess. And I remember like being given the opportunity to like captain that team, like I took it really seriously, and it was such an honor to be in that position. And I just wanted to make sure that I put forth like my best effort in terms of being the best leader that I could be, and just making sure that everybody felt comfortable. It's not easy always being away from home, especially in a foreign country. Ultimately, we all just had so much fun. Like it was a great group of girls, and I mean, there was no one I'd rather have done it with, but it was just such a great experience. I mean, obviously bringing home a medal is always the goal, but I mean, throughout the process and throughout the journey, like I feel like we just had such a great time, and I think that's why we did so well, because we were all so close, and we really put like the time to build together off the field, which is what I think that
Mm-hmm.
that team specifically took a lot of pride in, for sure, was building our relationships off the field. And it just kind of translated onto the field. I mean, I don't know, but I think that that game against Germany has to be one of the best games ever. I mean,
Was that the game you guys came back?
yes, scoring the two goals in the last 90 seconds to tie it
Oh my God.
to overtime, and then we ended up winning on PKs, was probably one of the best games I've ever even been a part. I couldn't believe it. Like it was just so insane. And I think that like those are the type of moments that you play for. And it was just like such a great moment for the team, and definitely gave us a lot of momentum in going into the um like the semifinal game.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, those memories from those tournaments are with me still too. I went to a couple U20 World Cups and I loved hearing you talk about the relationships that you guys focused on off the field, because it's so true that that kind of chemistry can really affect the way you do in a tournament like that when the stress is so high. And a lot of those relationships, as we know, you'll continue to have. In the off season when you came back to Bay. Oh, go ahead.
I was sorry, could you hear like the should I
Yeah,
move?
I can hear it a little bit, but I think that maybe they can edit it out.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, because the gardeners just got here.
It's literally so funny, Savvy, that this happened to me today. I was on another recording earlier today, and the landscapers came, and it was so loud.
Because it sounds loud to me, so I was like, oh, I don't know if it's too loud.
I think it will be all right. Thanks, Savvy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you came back from the U20 World Cup, you returned to Bay FC, and in the off season, it was announced that you would be heading back home to Angel City. Besides being your hometown club, being where your family was, what attracted you to Angel City? What was like the real selling point for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've just loved what the team has been trying to build over the last couple of years. Obviously, I mean, being from LA and knowing a bunch of the girls like Alyssa and Giselle on the team and Kennedy was also like super nice. Knowing that I was going to come home and have those people here as well and be able to play with them again was definitely huge for me. But I had trained with Angel City a little bit before I went to college, and I had just loved how they ran their program and what they've been trying to build and what we're continuing to try and build. And for me, that was just like, I was like, yeah, it felt right. It felt right to come back, and it felt right to be home and to play in front of my hometown. And yeah, that was for me was just like, it felt right.
That's amazing. Was your family so happy to have you come home?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They have been super ecstatic. I mean, normally they never really miss a game in general, so it just makes it a lot easier for us
Yeah.
to be able to go to the games together. But I mean, when I was at UNC, they would fly across the country, didn't really miss any home games, so they're always at pretty much every game. So now it just makes it a lot easier. And I've
Yeah.
actually been living at home ever since what happened, so it's just nice to be able to have that comfort of being at home, and probably makes them feel a lot better too. Just being able to have to take care of me and me being right here. So that has been like a huge thing for us, especially this season.
Yeah, I know, and I do want to get into a little bit of what happened. You came to Angel City, and from the get go, you were such a key part of Angel City's backline. You were impressing the fans, you were impressing the staff at Angel City, but also the U.S. Women's National Team, who called you in for Futures Camp and as a training player at this year's She Believes tournament. Just a month or so after you came to Angel City, the team extended your contract, and it really seemed like your sophomore year in the league was going to be your year. And then what happened in May during a game with Utah, you suffered a cardiac emergency. And we read it was something a little bit like a heart attack caused by an aortic abnormality, which of course was so scary for everybody watching. I'm sure unimaginably scary for you and your family. And I
Mhm.
know that you don't remember much about the event itself,
Yeah,
but for our listeners who could never imagine something like this happening to a 20-year-old in peak physical condition,
yeah.
was there anything that felt off that day? Do you remember feeling anything unusual just moments before you had been celebrating a goal? Did you have any sort of signal that something wasn't right?
Yeah, I mean, well, to be honest, probably if I were to guess, it would probably be a couple minutes before the event happened. I started to feel a little bit like something was off. Like initially, it was just like, oh, like I don't really feel that great, but I was still gonna play through it because I was like, it wasn't anything that was like to the point where I thought I needed medical attention. And then as like minutes went by, I never had any chest pain, which is like the crazy thing about all of this. Like there was never anything in my chest. And then I started to feel like, oh, I was like, okay. Cause I hate like the feeling of passing out. Don't like it scares me, but then like also like being in the stadium and having all those eyes on me, like I started to be like, okay, like let me just take a second, let me take a couple deep breaths. Like I just thought I was gonna pass out, and that scared me because I knew my family was in the crowd. I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want to scare anybody. But it got to the point where I was like, oh yeah, okay, I cannot continue. I need to sit down. And I did sit down, and then I was told that I was passed the ball back, and then I passed the ball again. And then I like grabbed my calf because I was like trying to distract myself because I did not want to pass out. And then after that, I just went unconscious. And then from then on, I don't like have any recollection of that. And then obviously the team came onto the field and performed CPR, and I was taken into the ambulance and taken to the hospital. But it was just a feeling of I'm gonna pass out. Like it was nothing in my chest or anything like that. So that's what I think was the craziest part. And then I went to the hospital and I had a bunch of heart tests and stuff, and nothing came up. And so I had never had any medical like thing ever like in my life, and they were kind of just like, we're not going to let you go home until we figure out what it is, because that was just super abnormal just for
Yeah.
anyone, but especially being that young and having no medical history. And then eventually they performed, I think it was called an angiogram on my heart. But I've had so much heart testing in the past, like with
Yeah.
the national teams of like echoes and all of that. Like
Hmm.
I literally had one at the beginning of the season, like nothing came up. And so it was just kind of a specific test that actually like detected what was wrong. So it was just a crazy situation where like it could have happened anywhere at any time with how it like in the last 20 years of my life. But I'm glad that it happened when it did, where it did, because I had the right resources and the right people
Yeah.
to help kind of save my life. So,
Yeah, well, the head cardiologist at the hospital later said that it was the immediate actions of the Angel City medical staff that prevented you from having any long-term damage. And
yeah.
I feel like when we talk about, soccer and the league and the teams and the development of everything and the progress, we're talking about players and coaches and owners and investment. But is there anything about this experience that you hope clubs everywhere take away about the importance of their medical staff?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like like knowing CPR has to be the biggest thing. I think that we're trying to do. I'm actually starting a nonprofit that's like foundation that is trying to bring awareness to what happened to me and that does happen to other people, that and like the importance of CPR. So that's like for what I'm trying to do going forward is just kind of spread awareness to that. But I mean, my medical staff knowing CPR and performing it, and just every action that they took that I may not necessarily remember or know what exactly those steps were, but just I think everyone should know CPR. And I think for players, like if something doesn't feel right or you feel like you need medical attention, to listen to your body and to so that you can get the help that you need. Because if sorry, the people back there, is she going to be able to edit that out too, or do you want like
I I don't think so, but like what are we going to do?
okay? Because I can totally move locations.
No, 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 Savvy, please don't worry about it. It's literally completely fine.
They just got back there, but I think they've moved like to that in the back. Let me move to.
We'll just leave some of this in so people know why you moved. Well, you just picked back up. You're starting a nonprofit about, is it about like CPR training?
Yeah, so I'm starting a nonprofit foundation, and like the main goal of it is to kind of just bring awareness to what happened, and like cardiac events that happen to a lot more people than what I think is brought to like attention to a lot of people that at least I didn't know about. And then also the importance of CPR and the fact that it can save a life at any time. So I just think that it's important for everyone to learn CPR and to get certified, because you never know what can happen at any time. As what happened to me, you never expect that to happen to you or to anyone around you. So I think it's just so important to know CPR and to be able to be a helping hand for someone that may need it at any time. So for me, I mean, Angel City will forever not only just be in my heart because of the fact that it's Angel City, I'm playing for them and it's my hometown, but the fact that like they literally saved my life. And so when I get back out onto the field, like I'm playing for them, I'm playing for all of the doctors and the surgeons that helped bring me back to normal, and that the fact that I'm going to be able to play again is just such a blessing. And Angel City, they saved my life, so it's like every time I get on the field, like I'm playing for them. There's never enough words for me to express my gratitude and thanks for that. And I mean, especially my parents say it all the time too, so I'll just say that for them is just like the Angel City is just, I mean, they're my superhero. So everything I do from now on is for them, and I'm just so excited to be able to be back out onto the field, and hopefully if I score when I score a goal, celebrate with them. So,
Oh my gosh, I am so excited for that day.
yeah.
Savvy, you just seem like the most positive and like grateful person. And I'm really curious about the days that you can remember now, when you're still in the hospital, when you were realizing what had happened to you. And I'm wondering emotionally how you handled having it explained to you what happened, having explained to you, that they saved your life on the field. Emotionally, what do you remember feeling? Was there a sense of disbelief that this just happened seemingly out of nowhere?
Oh, for sure. Like it's such an interesting story because I wake up, so what the event happened, and then a couple days later I went into surgery, and then eventually like I woke up from the surgery, and like I was in the hospital bed. I remember my mom was next to me and there was doctors in the room, and like I was like hooked up to all these monitors and like tubes and stuff. And I remember waking up, I had no idea where I was, no idea what happened, like what was going on. And then like I was still kind of waking up, so I was still under like the anesthesia, and I like they had to explain to me like multiple times what was going on. And like I just for some reason couldn't process it. I couldn't believe it because I was like, well, nothing's ever happened to me like this. Like what? Like I thought it was honestly just like a dream. Like I like someone needed to pinch me type of thing. And it wasn't until like they had to show me my phone because I was like I wasn't believing it. I opened my phone and was just like I was like, wow, like okay, so this actually did happen. And it just took me a couple of days to honestly process it. I didn't have my phone for a long time. Just there was just so much support and prayers and all of that was that helped me so much get through it. And it was just like you never expect that to happen to you, but it's kind of a special moment where it's like not you don't always come out on the other side able to tell your story. And so just to have that happen to you and just to see like all of the love and support and that comes from just everyone everywhere, like people that I didn't even necessarily know, and like all the lives that I've been able to touch since then is just like incredible. And I think just my perspective of life in general has just completely changed. And like I remember one of the first things I asked was if I was ever going to be able to play soccer again, and then getting the answer that I was, like I was just so happy that I was going to be okay, able to play soccer again. I knew that from then on, like every day that I was able to go back out on the field, I was just gonna like it was just gonna be the best day ever. So like every time I go into training now, it's like the best day ever. I'm always so excited. Like
Oh,
not that I wasn't before, but it's like this new like appreciation because I think when you're
yeah.
and you've been in it for so long, it's so easy to take things for granted, like
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously, and to not be like, yeah, I'm just so happy that I get to do this for my job and I get to show up every day and to continue to play and do the sport that I love and continue to inspire people. And like I've always known that it was always so much bigger than soccer, but I think that I've really just experience it in a different way that it's just brought that really into perspective. And like I've always wanted to help people and to inspire people and to be more than just Savvy the soccer player. And so now I've definitely in a position where I can help bring awareness to cardiac events and to CPR and to all of that, which is why I'm so big on like the foundation that I'm going to start. Yeah, it's definitely been an experience for sure, and it's my first like ever like injury and like return to play. And so I've kind of just taken it with like I'm just so happy that I get to play soccer. And so every moment that I get to like continue to progress and in my recovery is just like so awesome. And it's just such a great feeling that it's like I can't help but just be positive about the whole situation and knowing that like I'm going to be able to be back next season. And so every day is just a step towards that. And yeah, so I think that you could either take it two ways. You can take it as, oh, why did this have to happen to me? And I may not understand all of that, but I think that there's just such a bigger purpose for everything. And I know that now moving forward, like I have so much more to play for. And for that, I'm super grateful. But it's definitely been an experience, but it's been one that has made me stronger. And I'm just excited to see where the rest of my career takes me now that I know that, that's definitely a possibility because I've got so many more things that I want to accomplish and I'm still young, so I've got a lot more years ahead of me. And so, I'm still chasing all those dreams. And yeah, I mean, this definitely was something that could have been viewed as a setback, but I think for me it's just like brings everything into perspective and just, I have a new stronger love for the game than what I already had, which I didn't think was possible. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Savvy. It's like, it's really heartwarming to hear you. There's on the journey that you've been on, exactly what you're saying. It would have been easy to kind of be down in the dumps about why did this happen to me and why me. And I think that's a common and would be a totally understandable attitude to have. But your positivity is like infectious. And I want to now look to your future. I know you just graduated from cardiac rehab. Can you just detail a little bit what that looks like? I know you were one of the only young people really in the program.
Oh,
Tell
yeah.
us what you did and what the relationships were like with the other people you were in the program with.
Yeah, so basically it was a 3 month program for me. So it was 12 weeks, and each week I would go to cardiac therapy 3 times a week. And so basically it started off like when I first went, I was only allowed to walk like 2 miles an hour for 10 minutes. So that's relatively slow.
Yeah.
And so I was hooked up to like heart monitors. And so they would track my heart rate. They would take my blood pressure before I worked out. And I just had to, drink a bunch of water, all the normal stuff you would do during a workout. But it was just, they were like really closely monitoring how my heart rate fluctuated with like exercise and how well it came back down. And so like as time went on, like I was able to do like biking and elliptical, and eventually I got up to a run, which was a big day for me. And it's just been ever since like that moment, it's just been kind of building on that, getting faster, doing it for longer. It was just such a great time every time because it was like every time I got to do something different or more. So it was just like I always loved doing that, and it was really a great experience for me. And the staff there was incredible, and we always had a great time. And yeah, I was one of the youngest people. There was a lot of older people there, but I made a lot of friends. So that was awesome. And it was cool to just be able to talk to people like that had either different or somewhat similar situations as me, and just kind of hear their stories, and for them to ask me, because it was always like, what are you doing here? Like, there's no way you had heart surgery. And I was like, yep, it did happen. And it was just cool for them to kind of, hear my story. And they would always look at me and like talk to the staff and be like, am I going to be doing that? Because I'm like running on the treadmill. They're on the bikes, like just doing their own little workouts. But they would all be looking at me, and I was just like, yeah. They would be like, are you training for the Olympics or something? And I was like, well, like, I'm
Kind
just
of. Yeah.
well, it's yeah, it's a but they would always just have great conversations with me, and it was just so nice and refreshing to just be able to talk to people that I wouldn't otherwise be able to like talk to about certain things. But I just met so many like amazing, great people, and I feel like I helped a lot of them too, because they would always just tell me like, "You're so inspiring. Like, I want to be able to like run and work out again like you." And so it was just such a cool moment to be able to do that. And I always loved talk. And they would always like, because talking gets your heart rate up. So they would always be like, Savvy, stop talking. But I was always talking to everyone. And it was so great. And I feel like now we have so many more Angel City fans, which is even better. So hopefully a lot of them will be able to come out to the games. But it was just such an incredible experience. It's definitely been interesting, just because like normally when you're injured, you're doing like your recovery at your facility and you're around your team all the time. But like for me, like it was a different type of recovery where I was away for so long. And so every time that I got to go into training, which for a while was just once a week, like it was so great to see everyone. And it was so fun. And I know that it made them feel better too, just to know that I was okay. Cause for a long time I was just so not at the facility and so far removed, like from
Hmm.
the whole situation. So every time I got to go, I was just like, wanted them to know that I was doing okay, that I was doing fine. And like, I think it's different when you're communicating with someone like over text than it is just to see how great I
Totally.
really was doing, because it was like I was doing really great. And so it was just meant a lot for me to just be able to for them to see that, because I know that it was a pretty traumatizing event for a lot of them and a lot of the fans. So anytime like I'm able to go to BMO like tonight because we have a home game, and like it's just so nice to see everyone. And it's so crazy because it's like to a lot of people like will come up to me and like be emotional about it. It's just for me so crazy how many people like I've been able to touch, and that I want to continue to do that. And so for when everyone gets to see me, I'm like, just the best day ever. It's so fun to just for them to know that I'm okay, and to be able to talk to them and be like and share a little bit of my story for the little time that I have with everyone, because there's a lot of fans there. But just to
Yeah.
be I'm doing well. But it's always cool to just be able to talk to them, especially for the people that were there that night. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Savvy, I only have one more question for you. It seems like this part of your story is gonna always be a part of you. I mean, you graduated from cardiac rehab. You are, training to return to the field for next season. I feel like you are carrying this now as part of your story, but you're doing it with such grace and such a way of being able to use it to connect with people and even protect other people. I'm sure that the nonprofit that you're starting and the awareness that your situation has raised around the league will ultimately serve other players and tons of other people. And I think my question for you, as we've gone through this whole story, is really, as you look to the future now, knowing that you've gone through this, what are your goals for soccer? Obviously, returning to the field with Angel City, but you've been a part of the national team program forever, and I think this is certainly not going to slow you down. So tell me about your hopes for the future.
Yeah, I mean, my hopes definitely have not changed at all. I definitely would love to be on the national team. That has been my goal forever, as long as I can remember. And I want to play in a World Cup. I want to play in an Olympics, and those will not change. And then just continue to be the best that I can be for my club, and just continue to hopefully win a championship with them. That would be absolutely amazing, and like a story tale ending. So that would be awesome. But yeah, those are definitely still my goals. But for right now, it's kind of just, taking the small steps to get back out onto the field. I got cleared to be there every day, so now I get to see everyone's beautiful faces every day. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, those are definitely still my goals. There's still a lot of soccer left in me, but yeah, that will always be a part of my story, but it's definitely not going to define me.
Savvy, it was such a joy to talk to you. Thank you for sharing so much of this story. I imagine it's not always easy to talk about, but I'm so grateful that we got to hear from you. I feel so inspired by everything that we talked about, and we are all going to be so happy to see you step back on that field whenever you're ready. So good luck with the rest of your return to play, and we'll be cheering for you whenever the time comes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It'll be a lot of smiles. I'm excited.
That's for sure. Thank you so much, Savvy. Thank you all so much for listening. I really loved talking to Savvy and getting to experience her positive outlook on life firsthand. She is such a special person, and I know that we're all so looking forward to seeing her back out on the field. Before we let you go, we've got our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. Each week, we want to hear from you, so call and leave us a voicemail at 855-611-4050, and you could be featured on a future episode of Friendlies. Here's our caller this week.
Hi, Sammy. My name is Natalina, but you can call me Natty. I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York, and my favorite team is Gotham. I'm actually a Gotham season ticket member, and we get to meet the team. But I'm really nervous about meeting them. Like, I don't know what to say to them. So I wanted to ask you, what are some things that players like to hear? What are some things players don't want to hear? Like, obviously I'm not going to be weird, but like I just want to avoid like anything that players don't like to hear. But yeah, I just wanted to know what I should say to them. Like, I just don't know what to say. So if you could just let me know. I'm really nervous. Thank you so much. I love you and the show. Bye.
Hi, Natty. This is such a sweet message. And don't be nervous. Most of the time, players love meeting the fans. I think, especially at an event like this, it's so fun to get to interact with the people who are supporting you every single game. And as a player, I always loved meeting season ticket holders. And I often found myself remembering who I chatted with and then finding them after games to chat with them some more. I think the more you treat the players just like a normal person, the more they're going to appreciate getting to spend time with you. We just want to be comfortable and be ourselves. So maybe tell them what you enjoy about watching them play or what you enjoy about something they're doing off the field. I think whenever fans made me feel like we could connect about more than soccer, I always felt a lot closer to them. But seriously, just the fact that you're asking these questions, Natty, I think means that you're going to have a great time and the players are going to love meeting you. So I hope you enjoy the event. That was our linked up voicemail of the week presented by Verizon. If you want to join us for this segment, the banana phone is open. So give me a call at 855-611-4050. Leave a message, ask me a question, and you could be the next featured listener thanks to our friends at Verizon. Next week's guest on Friendlies is Portland Thorns and Venezuelan forward Dana Castellanos. Dana is such an incredible player, but she's also working so hard to inspire young girls from her home country to play, and she's helping provide them with opportunities to go to college. I cannot wait for you all to hear this interview, and I really, really enjoyed speaking with Dana. Thank you all so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel or podcast feed. Check out TWG's new podcast. We have Teaming Up with Becky Sauerbrunn and Mewis Squared. And check out our newsletter, which gets delivered to your inbox every Tuesday with all the news you need to know. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you soon.